It is HPR, All Things Considered. I'm Dave Lawrence. We're having a fun time here today. We're at the Blue Note, and it's a very special return visit. First time at this club, but return to the islands for Air Supply. This is a band that if you know their history in Hawaii, you know they've got a long history, a lot of fans, and they're here through Sunday night doing these shows. Thrilled to have Graham Russell, vocals, guitar, keys, Russell Hitchcock also with the band. These are the two cats, the duo that make up Air Supply. It's a gigantic thrill to welcome them to All Things Considered. Welcome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Pleasure, Dave. Nice to talk to you.
It's nice to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Dave, it's great to be here. Thank you.
And it's a special place for you, too, I've got to assume. Before we get into the special nature of Hawaii, the tour itself, the Lost in Love experience, it's called. Describe what's in store for folks who don't already have tickets. There's just a few left, so I don't know who we're telling it to precisely, but just give them an insight.
Well, the Lost in Love experience is something that our fans coined. You know, we do meet and greets before and after our show. We always have. And a lot of fans keep coming back. There are some fans that have seen us over 1,000 times. And so we said to them, what is it? Why do you keep coming back? And they say, well, it's nothing in particular. It's just everything. It's like this amazing experience. So we took that and said, well, that's what it is. So that's what it's going to be for our 45th year, which is this year.
What an incredible thing. 45 years. And what does that say when you think of a fan coming to see you 1,000 times? I mean, Jerry Garcia must be in heaven going, I don't think anybody came to see us 1,000 times.
I wouldn't come to see me 1,000 times. It's amazing to think that people have supported you from the beginning. In fact, we have people that are bringing their great-grandchildren to the shows now. And it's a testament to the songs that Graham writes and, our performance. I mean, we've been on the road every year without a break since 75. So we're doing something right.
You certainly are, my brother. You certainly are. And back to that history in the islands, as I sort of alluded to in introducing you. So a live 1982 video was recorded in Honolulu. That was the time that, according to Steve, the mystery emailer, who emails me a lot of historical data, that you guys did your first two dates here, according to Steve. Does that sound right? And
correct. Steve is absolutely right. Yeah.
So he wrote to me, November 19th and 20th, 1982 it was, Air Supply make their Hawaii debut at the Blaisdell Arena. Headliners of the Hawaii World Music Festival, Even the Nights Are Better, was the current hit at the time. And on the second night, and this is what I'm hoping if you have any memories of this, Steve writes that on the 20th, as an added special attraction, the Hawaii Music Festival presented 12 international stars. They competed for $20,000 in cash prizes and other awards. That competition videotaped for a world presentation. Any memories of either of these shows?
I don't remember that, actually. Maybe Russell does.
I don't remember the contest. No, not at all. But I remember the film and the video for HBO. In fact, something interesting, some years later we were doing a meet and greet somewhere, and this lady said that she was giving birth to her child, and she had the Hawaiian video played in the delivery room because she wanted her child to be, exposed to our music when he came into the world. I thought that's pretty heavy, Well,
that goes along with what you're talking about, that family thing of passing it on to your children, your grandchildren, and that sort of thing. And also the other thing about the show that I thought was a trip, because I just watched some of the videos to get reacquainted. Yeah, and wow, in 1982, lasers. You guys had quite a laser production.
We did. We had the lasers and the rocks from the Australian desert. It's funny because Russell and I have a joke about it now, because we used to come out and on a queue, each of us would go, duh, and this giant laser beam would go and go, and he would go, duh. And we look at it now and it's kind of a little cheesy. But, it wasn't then. We were kind of leading the world in laser technology, but
and the rocks. That's cool. I couldn't tell what that was from the video. It was a little grainy. It did have that Stonehenge. I kept thinking of Sabbath with Ian Gillan.
That was our version of Stonehenge. Yeah, we had the best rocks in the business.
That was very cool. It was reminiscent of the stage sets Yes used to have too. Actually, they would have stuff like that kind of look like that. And one of the other cool things when you think about all those productions, you mentioned the rocks, the lasers, and from reading about you, production was always something that you put your heart and soul into to make it look like some. Are there other ones that you look back either fondly or that make you laugh, some of the things that you got into?
Not really. We've always tried to do something different as often as we can. I mean, I've seen, and we've played with some good friends of ours who shall be not name, and they show up in jeans and flip-flops and go on stage, and we've always thought the audience wants to come and see something different, and that you have to separate, well, we think we do, have to separate yourself so they're actually part of the fantasy, so we've...
The illusion, I think... this is just our thoughts. If you're on stage, I think you've got to be kind of bigger than life, and we don't feel that, jeans and t-shirts for us don't do it. They don't match the music, I mean, our music's very romantic and it's very passionate and serious. So we like to reflect that in what we wear.
I wouldn't want a dude showing up with ripped jeans to play that either.
No, it wouldn't be right for us. But we've always done that. We've always tried to dress and do the right. It's just who we are.
Well, when you say it's just who we are, there's another neat thing about who you guys are that you both share, but you share it in such a different place. The year was 1964, and forgive me if any of this research is wrong, but from what I understand, in the same year, but in two totally different parts of the world, both of you were exposed to a group that would change your life. I don't know who saw it first. I know you were in Nottingham, and it was 1964. They were Beatles doing both at different parts of the year, Nottingham and Melbourne.
Yeah, I don't know which one of us saw it first, but I know that the impact was incredible. I mean, for me, it changed my whole life, and I know that Russell felt the same way when you saw them in Melbourne. Everything made sense suddenly. And I was 14, but I was already writing songs, but I didn't know why. And then suddenly everything became clear.
Who'd you see him with? You remember?
Yes, Roy Orbison, Cilla Black. The Big Three that were another Liverpool group, and the Mersey Beats. Wow. What a great bill. Yeah, I mean, Roy Orbison was a legend too.
Theater size, what was the venue?
It was a cinema. Okay. Where it was the Odeon Cinema in Nottingham, which probably holds, I don't know, how many seats does a cinema hold these days?
Right. A small theater, basically.
Maybe 200 seats. And just pandemonium. You couldn't hear anything, but it was just the most exciting 20 minutes of my life.
Were you with friends or an older person take you?
I was with my first girlfriend at the time, and we were just friends, but wow, it was incredible. I still remember it quite strongly, just the electricity, and I've never heard anything like it since.
And you, memories of this, and what venue was this in Melbourne?
They played in a place called Festival Hall. It was like a barn kind of thing. I think it was probably 5,000 seats.
Oh, wow.
And they performed with Johnny O'Keefe. He's like the Elvis of Australia. Okay. And Sounds Incorporated.
Yeah.
And I think...
was Trevor probably playing?
Billy J. Kramer or something on it. Yeah. So
who accompanied you? And you were same age, basically?
I was with my cousin. I was... how old was I in 64? 15.
What an informative thing, though. And both of you, the exact same band, same year.
Yeah, well, I mean, same as Graham. I couldn't hear anything because in those days, none of the instruments was mic'd, so you just sort of between screaming and she loves you, And
were the girls up to the pandemonium level with them?
It was unbelievable. I mean, I'd never seen anything like it. Even guys were passing out and getting handed over the top of the crowd. Really, it was outrageous. And in fact, I think the population of Melbourne was about 1 million then. And they had a civic reception for the Beatles at the town hall in Melbourne, and 300,000 people showed up.
Lord.
That's a third of the city's population.
Like a rock concert itself,
yeah.
Woodstock.
Yeah, and they came out and waved, and then it was it.
Wow.
Over the rest of your career since, have you gotten to interact with any of those cats?
No, Graham met Ringo once.
You met Ringo?
I did, yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was 12 years ago. We were rehearsing at a rehearsal facility in Hollywood, and I knew he was there, and I asked the guy running the place if I could meet him, and he said, "Yeah, I'll arrange it." And so and Ringo came out to where we were rehearsing, and suddenly he was standing there, but he was with Joe Walsh because he was in his band, and I just froze. I went, and he asked me what my name was, and I said, "It's Graham," and he said, "Oh, okay," and he signed a photo for me.
And walked away.
and walked away.
And you're thinking, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, but I want to say something.
And so many people have had that incident, so you're so not alone. I get that story a lot. Those are really, really cool. Well, when you talk about getting to meet him, there's an interesting story about how you guys met, and I think it's kind of relevant considering all of your history. It's such a magical thing. I guess I can really appreciate how your fans who have been with you for so many years must really appreciate that this relationship has stayed intact, and it got started in a unique way. It was on the set of a big theatrical production in Sydney. Share a little of the story about how you came across each other at the set for Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, well, it was 12th of May, 1975, and it was I obviously hadn't met Graham at this point, and it was my first entry into show business because I didn't have any clue that I was going to do it for a living. I worked in an office before this point in time. So when I got there, I was really intimidated because there was the people that had been in the previous production who knew what they were doing, and then there were other people who were stupid.
They pretended
they knew what they were doing. And so, we kind of hung out, and then I think we were in the same 3 or 4 people, Graham and I, that had never been in a production like that before. But it was only a couple of weeks after we first met that we started to work on one of Graham's original songs. So it was, we say now it's easy to say, but it was meant to be, and it's a perfect relationship for me and him. I don't write songs, I can't do that, and he doesn't want to be the lead singer, and we've had the same vision to do as much as we could, to play as many people as we could all over the world. We haven't achieved all those goals yet, but just being on stage with him is a great pleasure for me. It's when I'm home for a couple of weeks, if we have that break, I just think I should be somewhere else. It's 8 o'clock.
That's a great feeling, man.
Yeah, he gets dressed up in his stage stuff at home.
I miss Graham. I'm thinking of Graham right now as I stand here.
I sing a couple of songs with the cat, and that's it.
Say again?
I sing a couple of songs with the cat.
That's funny. Well, as we go to wrap it up, an important thing, or I guess 2 questions. Are you both, I had read online, one of you is living in America, but where do both of you live these days?
We both live in America. I live in Utah.
Okay. And you're in Georgia?
Yeah, Atlanta, yeah.
Okay. Atlanta. All right. I did have it right. So, but you're associated obviously with Australia, and as you probably know, you also have a huge connection in Asia. This is a group that if we were here talking to them all night, you'd find out they have gigantic success throughout Asia. But being here in Hawaii, we're on the border of the Asia Pacific, and so we talk about Australia a whole lot when things come up. And Australia is going through this unbelievable experience with the fires down there, but yet it's a seasonal thing to some degree, and while this is a whole lot worse, I guess my question is, when you look back at your life growing up, was there ever a time that Australia was going through a crisis like this that you can remember?
I think there were fires in the 50s, and it was called Black Sunday. I think a bunch of people drove to where the fires were to look at them for whatever reason they would do that for, and this is not scientific, but it's a fact. The fires were burning so badly that it sucked all the oxygen out of the air, so the cars they just stopped. They wouldn't. Oh, wow. And people died in their cars, but nothing like this at all. In fact, I saw yesterday too, there was some thunderstorm somewhere, and it was hail, a golf ball sized hail, and birds falling out of the sky. It's like, the apocalypse is on us.
It totally is.
Frogs and crickets and stuff.
Yeah. Pretty weird.
It is.
How has it touched you?
Well, it's touched me very deeply, even though I'm English.
You immigrated.
Yes, absolutely, and I was very young, so I have great ties to Australia, and it's just incredible. And we're going to try and create something where we can send money to them, and everybody should. But it's just one of those things that probably will never happen again in 1,000 years. But it's happened now, and it's just terrible, Like, I believe there's over 1.2 billion animals that have died, and it's unreal, It's unbelievable.
Well, let's hope it doesn't happen for another 1,000 years. A lot of people seem to think this could be the beginning of a series of things that are similar because of climate change. And
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, don't get us started about climate change.
Well, it's an important thing. I mean, I start it because I think people, if they hear it from somebody like you, it makes a big difference.
I mean, I dropped out of high school, so I'm certainly not an intellectual person, but anybody that doesn't think that climate change doesn't think it's an issue is out of their mind. I just don't. Yeah. I don't get that kind of mentality at all.
No, neither do I. We're very strong about that, you know. I mean, we never get into politics on stage, certainly not. But we talk about it all the time. But climate change is definitely here, folks. It's here. You know, there are so many signs and stuff. But
coming to a city near you real soon.
Yeah, exactly. No question. Well, as a final note, what's going to be next for you guys after this run of dates? We're going to please all your Hawaii fans and their kids and their grandkids. What's coming up after that?
You know, we always say the same. We have dates booked until September, and then we'll just see what happens after that. But we intend to try and make 50 years on the road, so we're looking forward to the next 5 years.
You going to be going to the play? I was reading about your stage production, the rock musical.
Yeah, that's in the pipeline. You know, it's been in the pipeline for a long time. I love theatre, you know, and I'm very interested in Broadway. But I've discovered that it takes a long time to get something up and going. Maybe at least 10 years. But we're getting close. And
give that thing a plug. What's the name of it?
Which one? I have like a couple of them that are
Wall Apart.
Oh no, that one just finished.
Okay.
But which was cool. But I can't tell you the name because.
Let's not give it away.
Right, yeah. But I appreciate you mentioning it.
Yeah. Well, people can look on the Facebook page and learn more about what the Cats and what the Cats and Air Supply are up to when they're not on stage rocking. It is Russell Hitchcock, Graham Russell, and two Russells, no waiting, one could say. Yeah. And they're here. They're here till Sunday. I hope you had fun doing this. It was a lot of fun having you on the show.
Thank you, man. Much appreciate you being with us.
Right on, brother.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure.
Aloha, everyone. This is Russell Hitchcock.
And I'm Graham Russell.
We're the band Air Supply.
And no, we're not lost in love.
Nor are we all out of love.
What we are is back for the pledge drive.
We were guests here with our friend Dave Lawrence.
Aloha, Dave.
And we're asking you to support this invaluable community asset.
Here's how, and Air Supply say mahalo.